gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host, Saeed. We do want to thank you for joining us tonight, viewers. It's that time now where we give you the updates of the day before we go into current affairs segment. The Minister of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence, Senator Dominic Smith, has appointed a new board of directors for iGov, the state agency responsible for advertising and advancing Trinidad and Tobago digital agenda. Members of the newly constituted board were formally presented with their letters of appointment on Tuesday, October 7, 2025, at the Ministry 14th floor conference room, Tower C, International Waterfront Center in Port of Spain. Over the next 2 years, they will guide an 11-member team with a bold mandate to build a digital society, drive a digital economy, and establish a digital government. So Trinidad and Tobago, I want to wish Dominic Smith, the Minister of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence, congratulations to him and his team, and hopefully we'll see in 26-27, by the end of 2027, Trinidad and Tobago is supposed to be a digital country, meaning governments, platform, the do's, the don'ts, banking sectors, whatever sectors in Trinidad and Tobago, we want to see it digitalized. We are in that age now, viewers. The UNC administration has taken a mandate to make sure Trinidad and Tobago is fully digital, and we support the move. I support the move. I support the move, Trinidad and Tobago. Being in the banking sector, also in the financial sector, technologies always have to be updated, software is always releasing, viewers, so hackers always up to date. So we in the financial sector always have to be up to date also. Remember that. So coming to technology, viewers have a wide knowledge of technology. We are in the financial sector, so we must know about it. We must and have to. So into our current affairs segment now, Trinidad and Tobago. Housing Minister and Caroni Central MP, Dr. David Lee, has been granted $1 million in bail as the state prepares to file an indictment against him and businessman Hugh Leong Poi. The two men are charged with conspiring to defraud the state over the importation of a $2 million Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG. The state alleged that Lee falsely claimed ownership of the vehicle to benefit from parliamentarian tax exemption. Leon was granted $600,000 bail. Both men will be informed of their next court hearing date once indictment is filed. They were rearrested on a bench warrant, meaning the matter will proceed directly to trial before a High Court judge rather than restarting from preliminary stages. The TTPS said the warrant was filed by the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP, under Indictable Offense Preliminary Act or Inquiry Act. As an MP, Lee is entitled to periodic tax exemption on motor vehicle, but is required to repay those duty if the vehicle is sold within 2 years of the exemption being granted. So Trinidad and Tobago, we will keep you up to date on this matter as it develops. Moving along now. The PNM political leader, Penelope Beckles, urged Prime Minister to state whether Housing Minister David Lee would remain in cabinet while facing charges. While Congress of the People COP Chairman Lonsdale Williams called for due process to be observed, emphasizing that all persons are innocent until found guilty. So Trinidad and Tobago, was there any member of the PNM administration before the court and still were in their seats serving as a minister For the last 9 years, the phones are open, 2386716 Trinidad and Tobago. I wouldn't say it. I want you to call in and tell Trinidad and Tobago which PNM member were under charges and continue to be in their seat. Trinidad and Tobago, let me see how good you remember. Now, reacting to the arrest, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissess has said her government respected the judicial process, noting that Lee had previously been acquitted of similar allegation and expressing confidence in the court to deliver a just outcome. Speaking during a PNM conference on Wednesday, Faris Harari also commented on Lee's arrest. Listen to this.
You are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Everybody has the presumption of innocence. Mr. Lee has the presumption of innocence. I note the tendency of people to say, aha, etc. I wish Mr. Lee no harm, no jeopardy.
Well said, Faris. Well said. I will compliment you on that one. Well said. The Prime Minister said Lee charges are relayed, but Al-Rawi explained that there is no relaying of charges, but a case of the old matter coming back to life. He quoted subsection 5, 6, and 7 of section 5 in the Old Preliminary Inquiry Act. Listen to Faris.
That where the DPP believes a magistrate got something wrong, the DPP can request the documentation from the magistrate. The DPP can approach the High Court. The High Court, if it considers it appropriate, can decide that there is material to reverse the magistrate's decision. So there's no relaying of charges. The old matter comes alive. It's very important to say this because the administration of justice, AJIPA, new law, does not allow for relaying of charges if you read it in a particular way. But the Old Preliminary Inquiries Act, where a matter began and still continues, has a different approach.
So now Trinidad and Tobago, with all the matters that have been going on in Trinidad, all the allegations made against MPs, was there investigations taking place? So, with this being said now, I've been following social media since this incident has broken. And let me tell you something. The DPP of Trinidad and Tobago will be under fire. Trust what I am saying. It has already started. It has already started. The DPP will be under fire from the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, from officers of Trinidad and Tobago, from lawyers in Trinidad and Tobago. It has already started. If you follow social media, Trinidad and Tobago, if you follow newsroom, if you follow prominent people, you will understand what I am talking about. So I will just lay back and watch what will take place in the coming weeks. But the DPP will be under fire. Trust me, I know what I'm telling you. You see, this what happened here with David Lee and a relaying. In the coming weeks, you will see something. And I will stick a pin and I will leave it right there. Right there. Because Trinidad and Tobago would want to know what happened to all the other matters that were supposed to be investigated. I'll leave it at right there, Trinidad and Tobago. Right there, I am going to leave that. And then as the days go by, I'm going to explain what matters should be investigated, what and why, and how some end up on the carpet. Yes, yes, yes. So in the coming days, let's hope the DPP brace for it. And we're going to leave it right here until further notice. Moving along. Trinidad and Tobago is in a troubled position The remarks come from Opposition Chief Whip Marvin Gonzalez speaking during a press conference on Wednesday. His statement comes after President Christine Kangolo reportedly relieved Chief of Defense Staff and Air Vice Marshal Daryl Daniels of his duties effective October 7th. Naval Captain Don Polo, who currently heads Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, is expected to be appointed as Daniels' replacement. Gonzalez is calling on Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar to explain what is taking place with the matter of national security in the country. Now, before we go to that video, let me explain something to you. Matter of national security. Kamla does not have to explain certain strategies to the public. I want you to understand that. So Marvin Gonzalez cannot call on Kamla Persad to explain national security to Trinidad and Tobago. If she, as the Prime Minister, says that she has nothing to explain, she has nothing to explain. This is national security we're talking about. National security we're talking about. We ain't talking about two private security guards in a parlor, you know. No. We ain't talking about two private security guards in a grocery, you know. No. We are talking about national security. I want Marvin to understand. When Fitzgerald Hines said it was not his job to make you all feel safe, did anybody question that? Nobody questioned that. And at that point in time, Rastaman was the Minister of National Security. Numerous times I asked him, what was your portfolio on national television? Minister of National Security. What does it entail? So Marvin could continue yapping. The Prime Minister do not have to explain nothing about national security to anybody. That is between the Minister and the Prime Minister and the President. That discussion doesn't have to hit the public domain. Now listen to this.
Last night at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., news came to hand that the Chief of Defense Staff was sent on leave immediately. The Chief of Defense Staff was sent on immediate leave. So you have attacks taking place at the professional class. You now have a level of instability taking place in the national security services of Trinidad and Tobago within a state of emergency, and the PNM opposition today is calling upon the Prime Minister as chair of the National Security Council to explain to the population what is taking place in national security in this country.
Dr. Rowley, who was the chairman of security, did he explain anything to Trinidad and Tobago? No, he didn't. So don't let Marvin come now and come up by a mic now and call on the Prime Minister to explain security to the citizens. No. Let Marvin explain to Trinidad and Tobago what happened to all the Coast Guard boats. He wouldn't do that. Marvin would not do that. Ask Fitzgerald Hines, a former Minister of National Security, what happened to all the Coast Guard vessels that's supposed to be patrolling. They wouldn't tell you that. Ask Marvin, why is it that former Commissioner of Police earlier only granted 100 FULs from 25,000? So you trying to tell me 25,000 applicants ain't worth a licensed firearm, but only 100? Could Marvin ask earlier to explain that to Trinidad and Tobago? Could Marvin ask the former Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, to explain to Trinidad and Tobago what he meant by "it's not my job to keep you all safe"? But you're calling on Kamala now to explain to Trinidad what is taking place with national security. No, Marvin, it don't work like that. It do not work like that at all. Could you tell Trinidad and Tobago why you told them that they will have to carry out their children one time for the month? They got 4% and all you got over 40%. You could explain that to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Now, viewers, he said, this move is already causing instability within the ranks. And as he deemed it very troubling. Marvin, what's troubling in that? What's so troubling in that? You know what was troubling, Marvin? When Ola stepped in to be the Commissioner of Police for Trinidad and Tobago. And nothing was done. That was troubling. That was troubling. So Trinidad and Tobago, listen to this now.
Is that decision that occurred last night, where the Chief of Defense Staff was sent on immediate leave by Her Excellency the President, is already contributing to instability within the ranks of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. These are matters that must be treated sensitively. It speaks volumes, and it shows that Trinidad and Tobago is in a very troubled position. The state of national security is in a very troubled place. And when you look at the quality of leadership coming from the government, you see a dark void that will not bring any soothing relief to this country.
So before we go for this break, Trinidad and Tobago, I want to ask Marvin, when Dulce Rodriguez and other Venezuelan ministers flew into Trinidad with a private plane when we had no plane and no boat entering Trinidad and Tobago, the head of the Security Council said he didn't know who or what was on that plane. Trinidad and Tobago, remember that? Don't forget that was just COVID going there about 2 years, 3 years back. The head of the Security Council, who was the Prime Minister at the time, Keith Rowley, I don't know who was on the plane. Marvin, was that troubling? Or was that instability of the head of the Security Council to not know who came in the plane? But keep in mind, there was no plane coming to Trinidad from no countries. There were no boats coming to Trinidad from no countries. Why am I saying that? Because our very own citizens were stranded outside. The CMO and what is my name again? Terrence Terry said, no, Ola cannot come in. Ola cannot come in. It will be troubling. Ola could bring in COVID. You know what the judge found? That was a wrong decision they made. You did not have the power to lock citizens outside of our country. I believe 1 or 2 members is taking probably ministries to court for that. So that matter is in the court. I don't want to say much, but that matter is in the court. It's sad. Marvin, you don't find that was troubling? You didn't find that was instability? But nevertheless, Trinidad and Tobago, there's something they say, do so and like so. Now Marvin finding everything to ask. things that he's supposed to be ahead of the game when he was there, things that he's supposed to fix when he was there, things that he's supposed to know when he was there, things that was supposed to do for Trinidad and Tobago to be a better place today when they were there. You know what they do? They do this. I didn't see, I didn't know. So now, do the same thing. You didn't see, you didn't hear, you didn't know. Back then, you didn't see, you didn't hear, you didn't know. Continue doing it for the next 5 years. Trying to we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, opposition urge action on crime over rapid murder. Now the opposition want, boy, all I feel is true. More when we return.
We'll be right back.
Throws you a curveball, and you need a clear path forward. Trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on a roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome to Real Talk Financing and Investment, a place where your loans are guaranteed and you're rewarded with up to 5% upfront interest on your deposit. Why wait when you can invest with us today and reap the benefits? Speak with a representative at our central branch at 238-6716, 231-6219, or 339-1670, or our south branch at 242-9944, 241-0543, or 339-1670. Real Talk Financing and Investment. Investment company just for you. For you. For you. For you.
Welcome back.
So welcome back, viewers. 9 murders were recorded within the last 24 hours. 5 in northeastern Trinidad, 1 in Port of Spain, 1 in southern, and 2 in central division. This brings the country's murder count to 282 for the year. By comparison, the figure for the same period in 2024 stood at 485. So this is why the Commissioner of Police said that the murder rate has gone down, because his officers are working. For the same time last year, there was 485. This year, it is 282. Speaking at a PNM media conference on Wednesday, Opposition Chief Whip Marvin Gonzalez urged the government to present a comprehensive and effective national crime strategies in the upcoming October 13 budget. Marvin.
If the government does not present a holistic proposal to tackle crime at its root causes in Trinidad and Tobago, then everything else is just fluff. When the PNM left office in April 28th, there was already a reduction in murder by 31% because of the state of emergency. But we warned the population that these gains are not substantial. They are fleeting. You are in the midst of a state of emergency.
So Trinidad and Tobago, we still have to wait on what Prime Homeland Security Minister is coming out with, or Wayne Sturgis coming out with, and we're going to see what is going to take place. But I am waiting for the 5 months and 6 months to up. That will give them proper time in office to sort out themselves, bring strategies, and start presenting it. Presenting it. That is what I'm waiting on. Now, the country is still under a state of emergency. Gonzalez underscores the gravity of the ongoing national security crisis. Listen to Gonzalez one more time.
9 murders in a state of emergency. Prison commissioner removed. Instability within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service with movements of leaders and executive officers. The leaking of information on leave of senior members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It speaks volumes. And it shows that Trinidad and Tobago is in a very troubled position.
So let me say something, Trinidad and Tobago. Marvin talking, but Marvin bumping his mouth because he have a mouth in his head. So listen to this, he talk about murder. In 2024, from January to September, or let's say from January to present, in 2024, they had 485 murders. Even though in our SOE. So presently we are in an SOE, but the murder count from January to now is 282 in an SOE. So Marvin, you can stay quiet a bit. Gonzalez represented opposition leader Penelope Beckel, who was unable to attend the briefing as she began scheduled public meeting with constituencies at Balize House. But nevertheless, Trinidad and Tobago, Marvin could talk. We know Marvin could talk because he's in a position to talk. But to talk the truth, can Marvin do that? Can Marvin talk the truth? For 9 years, they blamed the UNC. Imagine this, Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM blame UNC until UNC come back in power. That is blame. But nevertheless, I hope that members of the UNC do not pick up the pattern for the next 5 years to blame blame PNM. If they could do without the blaming game, that will be a new strategy to Trinidad and Tobago. You come in, you inherit something. Okay, we meet this, we fixing this. Kidra only blame Kamala 9 years. 9 years. So let's hope this present government don't play the blame game and start fixing what they meet. When you buy a car, when you buy a used car, just buy a used car, and what you get within the car, you just have to fix it. You can't complain to the owner again because the car is not the owner again. You own the car now. It doesn't belong to the previous owner. You own the car, you meet a half-dead battery, you have to put in a new battery. Stop complaining, put in the battery. It's your responsibility now. Yes, we understand we are in a crisis. Yes, we understand that we are in deficit. But I want to ask you something. Dan Paul, we'll talk about he just now. Call her good night. Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Saieed Ali, good night. Great show, man. And, we really need you to continue to inform the citizens of this country. Two quick things on your show.
Tell me.
Mr. Saieed Ali, this thing with Mr. David Lee and this next Mr. With where this case is concerned, I am only hoping that when this case is completed, that the citizens of this country have no legal fees to pay to nobody. We're not going to pay no legal fees for holding nobody and wrongfully charging them. That is one. Quick thing. Secondly, Mr. Saieed Ali, as a senior citizen of this country, I have a problem with people like the Prime Minister and the President and all of them who sending home people on leave. That is non-productive, no production for money. And
I
that is
understand,
why
I
you have
understand.
to tell we why you're doing it. Because we need to know. You send home not only the head of the army, but you send home a lot of people recently. A lot of people went home. I am saying that when we send home people and we still have to pay them, taxpayers money pay them for doing nothing, Mr. Saieed Ali. So we
I
need to know
understand.
why they just sending them home. What they do? Tell me. And when you see the matter with David Lee and them done, you see the people who issued a warrant, they had to pay the fees out of their pocket. The citizens of this country not going to pay no legal fees for no wrongful arrest anymore.
I understand.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my friend. And concerning your employment, I hope that Cathedral Army in Barry Padarat, I hope they have something in place for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Quick. I hope they have something in place. So viewers, history was made in Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, on Monday as Justice Winston Anderson became the first Jamaican to be appointed president. According to the CCJ, Mr. Justice Anderson has a distinction of being the first Jamaican and at the age of 49, the youngest judge ever appointed to the CCJ. Kola, good night.
Hey, Saeed. I call you from Tunapuna.
Welcome.
And I want to lay a complaint that is, I am an ardent listener to this program every God night. And for the last couple of times that when I call to make my contribution, within a minute and you're cutting me off. I want to say this. If this is the trendy thing, I will stop listening to the program.
No, but
Right?
Kola, you have to understand.
No, Saeed, it's too regular happening.
No, you have to understand. You have limited time to talk.
No, Saeed, I don't even get a minute sometime and you cut me off.
That's your choice, Kola. That's your choice.
Right.
I cannot say anything for that.
Now,
Now, there is a certain amount of time that
let me
we
make
give.
my contribution before you cut me off again, right? Marvin Gonzalez, you know, he talking about the security apparatus is in crisis. Look at the state of crime in this country where it has reached to. People living in fear, no foreign investors, nothing at all. And you know, in this thing, you have the police service, you have the prison service, you have the army and the coast guard and all these things in real crisis. So therefore, if it means that all these people who were there as non-performers, the Prime Minister have a right to get rid of them. Are you hearing me?
Correct.
Right. Secondly, Marvin Gonzalez said that all these people that the government sent home, head of the protective services and whatnot, these matters ought to be treated delicately. But yet still you're asking the government to come out and make pronouncement on what is the reason that you're sending home these people. And finally, Said, David Lee matter. You see the DPP, I want to tell you this. The DPP is a PNM Act, and I will tell you why I'm saying this. There are so much matters as it relates to where the DPP is supposed to take action, because there was also an issue with Faris Al-Rawi where he sold his vehicle and did not transfer it and what have you, and the licensing office, and that matter should have been investigated. In addition to that, the Brent Thomas issue in Barbados, all of that is matters that supposed to be because the Suzette Martin on there was by the Privy Council, all of them are found guilty. How come you're not investigating that? And to add to it, remember the Nelson issue? Right? Where they paid this other money. He should have been, Al-Rawi was the Attorney General then, who gave them a free rein to say that, okay, you will get what you call, I think is indemnity, that you would not have to face no consequences in that matter if you testify against, I think it was Ram Logan and them fellas. Remember? Right? But here it is. Al-Rawi
He there? Caller? Caller, I am not hearing you. I do apologize. So, Trinidad and Tobago, let me tell you this, Speaking at a special sitting to commemorate the inauguration of Justice Anderson as CCJ President on Monday, Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago, Ivor Archie, described his appointment as a sign of hope. Listen to this now.
Honorable President, your journey to this distinguished position is a remarkable story of talent, perseverance, and purpose. In you, we have the quintessential Caribbean jurist, a citizen of 2 Caribbean countries, and, if I may dare to claim it, domiciled in a 3rd.
Commenting, his commitment to serving the people through the court reveal a strategic plan with areas of priority. The plan, he said, aims to advance the growth of Caribbean judiciaries while embracing the visions of judicial excellence. Listen to this.
The strategic plan recognizes as the first area for strategic priority and intervention the continued delivery of high-quality judgments to the people and states of the community. It considers the efficient management of court operations to be essential to upholding the CCJ's reputation for judicial excellence and independence. Our bench and administrative support will maintain a constant line of sight to the mission and vision of the court.
Now, viewers, the new CCJ president reiterated the importance of court serving as the cornerstone of justice and the rule of the court. Listen to this one more time.
Courts ensure laws are applied fairly, uphold individual rights, and maintain public trust through impartiality and transparency. The ceremonial opening of the court year is a moment for all legal professionals to reflect and to recommit to their calling to pursue justice. In a world facing complex legal and moral dilemmas, the law must be upheld as a beacon of reason, fairness, and civilization.
So, Trinidad and Tobago, we want to congratulate the Justice for being the president, the first youngest president of the CCJ. We are going for a short commercial break. When we come back, stakeholders budget wish list. More when we return.
We'll be right back.
Throws you a curveball, and you need a clear path forward. Trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the blaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome to Real Talk Financing and Investment, a place where your loans are guaranteed and you're rewarded with up to 5% upfront interest on your deposit. Why wait when you can invest with us today and reap the benefits? Speak with a representative at our central branch at 238-6716, 231-6219, or 339-1670, or our south branch at 242-9944, 241-0543, or 339-1670. Real Talk Financing and Investment. Investment company just for you. For you. For you. For you.
Welcome back.
So Trinidad and Tobago, the national security stakeholders are welcoming the budget announcement set for next Monday and are calling on the government to acknowledge the top priorities of their budget wish list for fiscal 2026. Prison Officers Association President Gerard Gordon, while speaking in an interview, listed several of the association's issues and expectation from the upcoming budget.
Allocations to address the payment of outstanding overtime. We have some officers who are owed overtime since 2011. We are also looking at the construction of the new remand prison and subsequent update and restoration of existing correctional facilities, namely the maximum security prison and the Eastern Correctional Rehabilitation Center. And of course, we are most interested in an increase in salary.
Now, Inspector Natalie John of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and Social Welfare Association also voiced concerns on long-standing issues.
Many of our police stations are in need of repairs or rebuilding, and we are hopeful that attention will be given to creating safer, more comfortable workspaces. We are also encouraging more timely release of budget allocations so we can meet obligations to service providers and also ensure our officers receive their overtime, increments, and pensions without unnecessary delays.
Meanwhile, President of the Fire Service Association, Keon Guy, is calling on the government to urgently attend to dilapidated facilities and medical plans, among several other issues.
And in the case of the fire officer, in addition to all that the prison police officer are exposed to, we then now are exposed directly to carcinogens and other types of chemicals. So we would, of course, like to see a group health plan that will be able to, medical plan that will be able to take care of officers into their retirement, which oftentimes is where the impact is seen. Presently, what the regulations provide for is that the state, through the consolidated fund, will pay for these medical expenses for fire officers.
So viewers, the creative industry is also calling on the government to capitalize TNT's rich culture, heritage, which claims that one initiative could earn millions of foreign exchange through a national heritage warehouse.
That facility alone could generate up to $60 million in our estimations and over 300,000 unique visitors annually, where we could bring together all the archaeologists, curators, and preservationists in one spot to be able to look after those things.
So viewers, we have a short commercial break. When we come back, budget wish for the refinery. More on the return.
We'll be right back.
Throws you a curveball, and you need a clear path forward. Trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the blaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome to Real Talk Financing and Investment, a place where your loans are guaranteed and you're rewarded with up to 5% upfront interest on your deposit. Why wait when you can invest with us today and reap the benefits? Speak with a representative at our Central Branch at 238-6716, 231-6219, or 339-1670, or our South Branch at 242-9944, 241-0543, or 339-1670. Real Talk Financing and Investment. Investment company just for you. For you. For you. For you.
Welcome back.
President of the Greater San Fernando Chamber of Commerce, Kiran Singh, is hopeful that Monday's national budget will include well-defined plans for the oil refinery in Pointe-à-Pierre. He noted that the facility remains a critical asset for economic revitalization in South Trinidad. While he does not expect an immediate restart of the operation, Singh believes both short and long-term strategies are needed, noting that reviving the refinery could boost job creation and generate much needed revenue. Kira.
We know it can't start on time, but what will happen is that it will create that confidence. The downstream industries will start re-employing workers. The investment in machinery will start. That will start the multiplier effect for the southern economy that we so desperately need.
Now viewers, MP for Diego Martin, West Hainsey Veens, is supporting the effort of Diego Martin residents as cleanup efforts continue following Tuesday's tornado-like funnel cloud. A rare weather event caused significant damage to several homes, ripping off rooftops and scattering debris across the upscale community. The MP noted that the neighbors were the first responders. Listen to this, guys.
Yes, we have our first responders in terms of all the security agencies, but the first responder is quite often your neighbor. And that's what we saw. We saw a neighborhood coming together. There's a young man from the other side of Western Circular that came across, and he said, I saw the situation, and I'm just here to help clean up.
So viewers, although residents in the Westmoreland area may be in a position to get back on their feet in no time, others may need assistance.
A lot of the people on the streets, they have insurance and they'll be taken care of. And, we really need in these situations to speak to each individual on the street and understand their particular plight. Yes, there may be some people with insurance. Yes, there may be some people that can afford immediate repairs. But the truth is, everyone's circumstance is different.
So Trinidad and Tobago, according to the Diego Martin Borough Corporation Disaster Management Unit, the DMU, the storm damaged 12 roofs and around 150 homes in the area are experiencing power outage. That was an update for you viewers. But nevertheless, we hope they get through everything and all is well. There are ongoing efforts to develop the Community Emergency Response Team training program, which aims to enhance community preparedness during emergency situations. Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Khadija Amin, said this will assist in improving responsiveness to local disaster and to promote a culture of proactive engagement across the country. Following Tuesday's tornado in Westmoreland, she said several emergency response teams were active to assist affected residents.
As Minister, pulled resources from the Sawa Lavantil and Port of Spain Corporation so that we could have enough boots on the ground, as they say. The field officers went to every house to do an assessment as to the level of damage and the number of persons affected. And there were 16 houses damaged.
Now, viewers, in incidents like these, communities do get together. This is where we say we are our brothers and sister keepers. In situations like these, now it could happen at any point in time. Nobody is expecting these sorts of incidents to happen, but it just happens sometimes. So this is why we have to say we really have to live good with our neighbors. We need to build a community of watch groups, security, preparedness, readiness. A close knit with the neighbors in the community should, in case anything should happen, whether it's storm, whether it's flooding, whether it's earthquake, whether it's a crime in the community, everybody should get together to fix the community. And I've been saying this for a number of times, when a crime happens in a community, the members of the community have all rights to communicate with the police to make sure that the community is safe. And this is why I say, viewers, when murder and housebreaking or something disasterful happens in the community, is everybody should come together to fix the problem. To fix the problem. So if drugs in the community and the neighbors come together to fix it, the police have no other choice but to come in and fix the problem. And that is why I say, if the police makes random raid in the communities, we wouldn't have this high level of crime and extortion and kidnapping. We wouldn't have it. Illegal firearms, we wouldn't have it too much in the community. You know why? Because the police in the area is responsible. Shogona Station is responsible for Shogonas. They should have the intelligence that when something happens in the community, you gather information, you move quick as possible, and you clean up the community. You get rid of the pest. It's pests that have Trinidad and Tobago like this, We have lackadaisical officers. We have lackadaisical MPs. We have lackadaisical councillors. We have lackadaisical response. That is why our country is in this mess. Because everybody too big. Nobody wants to come out. Nobody wants to fix. Nobody wants to sit down and talk. Nobody wants to come out with plans. That is why we are where we are today. Why? Because everyone wants to be lackadaisical. They don't care. They just doesn't care anymore. And when the caring part step out, that's when the radical part steps in. And this is where the police know how to deal with them now, like some bullies. I always say that. Once the police is proactive in the community will be safe. Friends or family, you get rid of the pests. Because the pests have the community like this. You want to be living in a house that when you get up in the morning, you lock burglar up and find your people through to see who passing? Or you want to come out in a gallery and sit down and drink your morning tea? Come together and get rid of the pests. And come out in a gallery and sit down and drink your morning coffee in peace. Minister Amin said her ministry will continue to coordinate and work with partnering agencies including the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force and the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service and public utilities. Amin.
Up to very late last night, I was in touch with the T&Tech team. The general manager was on site, the engineers. What they did was essentially restore electricity to the main so that the wider area like Bon Coco Road and so on could get electricity.
The new video I sent you. So Trinidad and Tobago have almost come to the end of our program tonight, about 2 minutes again. I just want to remind you that the contractors, homeowners, individuals, those of you who are looking for excavator to buy, those of you who in the construction business, you need to rent an excavator, not a problem. Remember, Real Talk Equipment, we have 3 excavators that recently came into the country. It's 2023 model. It's 305 and remove the CG. This is the 305 and the 306 model, viewers. Those of you interested, you can contact me. Remember, when you purchase one of these excavators, you're getting a new brand auger system, a complete auger system with this excavator. Remember that, 305 and 306, viewers. So, that's Real Talk Equipment. 305 and 306. So now Trinidad and Tobago, if you're interested in going down the island during the week, on weekends, holidays, with friends, with family, you want to go down and curry a duck, you want to go down and cook some goat meat, you want to go down and cook some wild meat since the hunting season open, feel free to contact me, viewers. 339-1670. You're going down with an elegant boat. Let me tell you something. The inside of this boat, it's prestige. Prestige, look at it. Executive. You'll just love it. You will just love it. There's music, there's entertainment. Probably there's a little giveaway or two when you enter the boat, viewers. So, very soon, hopefully from next week, there's some new things that the management of the... Come back to me, the director. There's a boat management team that I have. Every business I have, there's a management team behind it. Not that the boat is out for rental, there's a management team behind it. Excavators for sale or rent, there's a management team behind it. I believe the management team, viewers, they are having some kind of... Trinidad is a whole get-together of some parties. That's the management team, that's a different business, that's outside. But nevertheless, from next week, viewers, I will tell you more about it. It's that time now where I must say, good night. Be safe.